Well, here with us, Governor Josh Green. And now you just told me that you do have the latest for us as far as people going back to their homes on Maui.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for the coverage. Mayor Bisson and his team have been working all night long, putting together the plan with us to get people back to their homes. So they will announce today the capacity for people to, in a controlled fashion, go back to their homes. There will likely be a curfew, but we know how badly people want to get back to the extent that their homes are still there. Now, originally we thought it was just a couple hundred structures burned. As you know, there are many more than that. The estimates will continue to rise. People, in many cases, will find tragically that their home was destroyed. So our hearts are out for people. Our love is out for people who lost loved ones. We're being careful about the return to properties because we want to be sensitive to what they will see. We're also being careful because there's just so much uncertainty and questions in the air because there's very little communication. The communication systems were destroyed. So people will be able to get back to their houses today. And meanwhile, we will do all that we can to continue search and rescue.
So FEMA, now they're going to be helping with going into some of the buildings because I know that people are concerned about how many people have perished throughout this. And I know getting in is kind of a very treacherous situation. It is.
So the benefit of our relationships with Washington are that we had FEMA here on the scene immediately. Bob Fenton has been extraordinary, and his team are bringing in additional resources as we speak, flying in overnight. Also, the FEMA director will be here tomorrow, and I will be with her touring the damage again on Maui tomorrow, likely with the other leaders, including the mayor. So we will have all the leadership from the top on down here. But yes, we will have to go into many of the houses with our police and fire, and they have been heroic. There's incredible stress on them, so let's all be as kind as we can, acknowledging the stresses on those individuals who are, in some cases, finding some of their friends and family members themselves who have suffered injury or worse in the fires. We will be there in the houses. Right now, the fatality count is tragically 55. It will rise. Of the many people that are, quote, missing, it's just that we haven't been able to contact them for the most part, we hope. We do not want to speculate as to how many people have actually passed away. I think you'll remember that since statehood, 1959, we've only had one tragedy of this magnitude. That was in 1960 when 61 people died from the tsunami in Hilo. So this will likely become, sometime today, the most tragic loss of life from a natural disaster. But that's how we're approaching it. We are already putting together the plan to house the individuals who have been displaced. I was on with the president this morning and the secretary of HUD, and also Pete Buttigieg, whose infrastructures are for the nation. We're doing all of these things to bring all the resources to our people to help them through this.
And some say that the evacuation orders came too late. What about that, their response to that?
It's very difficult to guess at when the evacuation order could be made. Already, the mayor has clearly shared with us that at the hotels, people were told to stay in place because they didn't want to burden the roads as firefighters were coming in and police were coming in. That was an order that was made. Then the fire broke out in the late night. And my understanding is in Ahupua'a, as you go from mountain to sea, with 80-mile-per-hour gusted winds, it moved the fire very quickly. I would never blame or disparage anyone during these kind of moments of tragedy. Everyone did their very best to try to rescue people. In time, we'll look at all of these things and continue to try to improve. But this was the largest fire in an era where you have global warming, dried conditions, in other words, droughts, and then a storm that passed very far south of the islands, but did leave residual winds. It was a perfect storm in that sense, that a small amount of fire spread quickly because of wind.
So what are you suggesting that people do as far as like helping the people from Maui?
The first thing I would say is, if you have resources, give to the Hawaii Community Foundation Maui Strong Fund or other funds that have been set up, but that's one I know is ready to go and is receiving millions and millions of dollars from around the planet. If you have a home that's outside of this disaster zone, contact our office or the mayor's office. We will set up a hotline so you can offer service and you can offer some of that capacity to house people. We are going to pursue 2,000 hotel units at least, and we are in conversations with the national leadership of Airbnb so that we can get another series of hundreds of units for the people that will need recovery. Some of this will take time to set up, so if you have the ability to house a loved one or a friend from Maui, please do that. The airlines have been very good and will accommodate getting them over to Oahu or to another island, or they can even drive to another part of Maui. This is going to be a multi-year recovery. It's going to take essentially years to rebuild Lahaina, which was destroyed. But we will build it back better, and we'll build it back proudly as we do in Hawaii. We will find a way to make sure that there's more housing in Lahaina over time, and that will be part of the recovery, the federal support, and all the work that people do.
So what are Maui officials telling you about the wildfires, and what can be done in terms of investigation to make sure something like that doesn't happen not only on Maui but any other island?
That's a very good question. So the official data is that 80% of the fire is contained right now. I do suspect it is more than that now that we've had more time, but we are only going to get updates at the 7 o'clock hour from the officials. So I think that we will see these fires be completely contained, if not today, in the near future. The problem, of course, is conditions remain dry. Fortunately, the winds are lower, and they were dropping tens and tens of thousands of gallons of water from the helicopters that we all provided onto the site. We saw that personally. I would tell this, people need to be very safe, be very careful right now. Obviously take every precaution not to set any new fire, to have any heat out there in the dry grasses. That goes without saying. Going forward, I think we have to have a much broader conversation, a practical conversation about water use on Maui, because we have to know that we can saturate the land with water, whether it's through agriculture or housing. That's been an ongoing debate, and it can't be a political debate. It has to be a practical, life-saving debate. And so my team, which already has a water committee, will add that. Right now, we're in the acute phase of recovery for this disaster, so we won't be able to address that for the next few weeks. But needless to say, our team has authorized the full release of water. There should not be any restrictions on water given to the people right now to make sure that there's less fire.
Thank you so much, Governor Green. Really appreciate you spending time with us. And our prayers go out to everyone on Maui.
Thank you so much for that. Aloha.
Aloha. Mahalo. So many people and organizations all across the state are stepping up to help the survivors of the disaster on Maui. And we at KITV and KIKU want to show our support for the community by helping to facilitate the recovery process. If you're interested in lending a helping hand to those in need, please visit the special section of our website where we have posted a list of so many of those amazing organizations, relief efforts for the people on Maui. Visit KITV.com/Lahaina donations. We also have a banner at the top of our page on our KITV app that you can take and look at and get those information on those impacted by the Maui fires.